So you're jumping into the second half of a podcast with a content creator named PJ who has had some massive hits recently. And the cool thing is he works pretty much exclusively with AI, and he's going to break down how he's been developing some of these viral videos. We started the conversation over on Wes Roth's YouTube channel, so you might want to start there. Now we're going to really be into the weeds and then start asking some questions that content creators of the future who want to work with AI need to know. So we're going to dive into it now.
So then I think I did update it. It was like a little better. And then one of the things I like to do, because obviously I don't like, it takes about 3 to 5 minutes per shot, but I don't like, I think it's good they called it flow, because like flow state is everything when you're creating. You don't want to just like work and then, you know, whatever, scroll on Instagram like for 3 minutes, because part of how creativity works is curiosity is like what drives you. It's not discipline. It's like, you know, believing that you can actually make something, and like you keep getting these breadcrumbs, and it's like, it's what causes you to get dopamine from the act of creation. But what kills dopamine for working on good projects, the junk food dopamine, is like scrolling on TikTok and like having that steal your attention. And then you're like, you come back to this and like, well, you're having issues. It's not as fun. So how I combat that is I like to do multiple things concurrently with separate prompts. So I took this shot and I was like, okay, well, I need to get that while it's loading. So now I'm going to come back to this and say, all right, let's see how the Jonah scene performs. So I started with this one with a different line originally.
Jonah here. Lesson learned. Do not try and leave God unread.
Unread. I was trying to say like, don't leave God unread. Like, don't run away from God. It wasn't as funny. Obviously later I had a much better idea to do the poop line. Part of how I know if my jokes are landing sometimes too is after I'll get like a first rough cut, I'll just show them to my wife or a friend or whatever, and then I'll just kind of like watch their face, and like the ones they're laughing at, I keep. The ones they're not, I try and cut. And this is one of those that, like, you know, I didn't find it funny. Also, this is a good example of, initially I had an ultra wide selfie lens. This is wrong, and this is why you have this fisheye, which isn't like, no one uses fisheye lenses anymore. In order to, so I got this back. I kept getting issues where they were walking out of the arc, so I was like, screw it, I'll just have him in the thing. And then the problem was it was all horses.
I got the horses in the back. Horse tack is attached.
So then I was like, all right, you got to keep doing it. And then I had more animals, more weird Liger things. I think this was the final one.
I got the horses in the back. Horse tack is attached. Hat is matte black. Got the boots that's black to match.
And obviously it did come with captions, but what you kind of have to do is you just crop in. So I cropped in to this. So then I'm also concurrently working on other ones, like I said before. So then this was the David one.
That's good, fam. Your boy David here, about to yeet this little stone at Goliath and see what happens.
It's not the final one I used, but it's pretty close. You'll see other ones here.
What's good, fam?
Let's see. Here's our platypus.
I'm calling this one a platypus, but Shmon, this is clearly a starter Pokemon.
Yeah.
It gives characters Australian accents sometimes.
And everything. It's so funny.
It gives what is he? I'm calling this one a starter Pokemon.
A starter Pokemon.
He has an Australian accent for this for some reason.
It's a platypus. Of course, he's in Australia.
I guess so. Yeah, but then it was like it was messing up the.
Yeah. What
the heck is that? So I had to basically bring it to ChatGPT and say, clearly state it's a duckbill, and reiterate that it's a duckbill throughout this. Looks like,
you know, I'm a daddy's boy. He's got me in this Technicolor drip.
So I'm working on this one. I actually like that one, but I try and give everything like 2 to 3 takes minimum, even if I like the first one, just to see if something's funnier.
You know, I'm a daddy's boy. He's got me in this Technicolor.
That one was good too.
You know, I'm a daddy's boy. He's got me in this Technicolor drip. Brother's so jelly right now. They're looking a little sus.
He's like rapping. Sometimes they'll do that. They'll just sing randomly. It's really weird.
I find it interesting. How were you able to get him to keep such a kind of youthful, sort of young vibe without the background and the rest of it becoming kind of a whole youthful link? You know, like there's such a contrast in your videos. Like I'm surprised that some of the words from like the description of the background don't bleed into the character. You're very clear in separating that?
Yeah, so let's actually look what the original one is. What's his name? Technicolor. Okay. So interesting. So this is all I had of the thing, is just the quote, and then I'm curious if I can find Technicolor. Okay. Joseph's standing in front of his brothers, talking super excited, but he's also in front of a massive pit in the ground, and he's unaware that his brothers all look very angry. Joseph wears a Technicolored robe. You know him, Daddy's boys got me a Technicolor drip, brothers to Jelly. So that's all I'm giving ChatGPT. And then from that, it's extrapolating the full prompt, which is like, he's very happy. However, a group of dozen older Middle Eastern men, his brothers, stand in the background short distance away, glaring at him with growing irritation. So it extrapolates some of that. Yeah, let's see. Okay. So that was that. Let's see how Adam turned out.
Platypus, but this is clearly a starter Pokemon.
So
It's closer.
It's closer. The laughing is always like kind of a tell with VO3 because it loves to make them like say something and then laugh at their own joke. So like I try and sometimes that's what you need for the scene, but sometimes it's a little crazy. Let's see what this is the we were vibing until we had the characters starting talking like they were from The Sims.
Yo, we were vibing until everyone started speaking like characters from The Sims.
So I don't know what happened there. It just had a hole burned into an eye. And then this
we
is
were
like a
vibing
fisheye.
until everyone started speaking like characters from The Sims.
Let's keep going.
We were vibing until everyone started speaking like characters from The Sims.
So I think I just kept iterating where I was just trying to get him like walking through the crowd. In the end, it just didn't kind of feel right. Wasn't laughing. I was afraid like the Sims reference was a little too obscure. And then the other thing to keep in mind too is what you guys don't see is all the failed prompts. So there are specific keywords that Google obviously censors, doesn't like. They're pretty prompt sensitive sometimes, and the problem is you just don't know what it's tripping up on. So it'll get to like 99%, which sucks because you wait like 5 minutes, and then it goes failed generation.
Yeah.
Not my favorite, because I'm like, okay, it won't charge you for a failed generation, but it also won't tell you what caused it to fail. So this is where we take the prompt. So this one I was actually getting failed a lot, and I wasn't sure. I think the genocide, her saying genocide, was the one that she kind of caused her to like the prompt to fail. It could be the fact that she's just like, I don't know, a woman. Sometimes it's more like sensitive on like what girls are wearing. I don't know, it's a little weird. Like it just sometimes is sensitive with like girls, but I didn't describe her in any sort of weird. I had her like in a formal dress. So I had a lot of failed generations to this, so much to the point that I actually just cut the bit because it was just too time consuming.
It's your girl Esther here. This is my go-to lip combo when I need to look cute enough to save a nation.
But this also, like, you also have to get the vibe. So like this shot wasn't working because it's a stationary tripod. It just looks like a professional, like, I don't know, like a tripod shot. Like it's not the vibe I wanted. What I wanted was more of this like selfie cam. And this is kind of what I think makes the comedy more funny.
Day 2 in the tomb. No Wi-Fi, no snacks. Just kind of waiting to respawn.
So this wasn't funny for me because he's not whispering. And I don't know why, but when you have it as this like big secret. So this is the one I liked, but this one was good too. So I'll show you this.
Day 2 in the tomb. No Wi-Fi, no snacks. Just kind of waiting for God to respawn me.
I don't know why. Whispering is just so much more real feeling than like day 2 in the tomb.
Plus he's excited, like he's got a secret that's gonna come out. He's excited, like when they find out. Like that's funny, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Okay, so I did fix her here.
It's your girl Esther. This is my go-to lip combo when I need to look cute enough to save a nation.
But anyway, like I dropped it because I didn't think like the non-church world knew Esther's story, and like it just wasn't landing for me. Okay, here we go.
It might have done kind of well too, though, because I will say when I saw it, it was kind of fun for me to try to pick up on what story it was. I was like, "What? Oh, am I supposed to know this? Is this like historical?" But
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I tried to pick more of the popular Bible stories. So this was it. And so for Mary, I think I just prompted it. Let's see. Mary glares at the angel in her bedroom, arms crossed. The angel is a massive, glowing, muscular figure in white robes with wings. Okay, dude, you're going to have to explain this to my parents, because if I tell them I'm pregnant, not going to go well. Let's see how this first performance was. No audio. That happens sometimes, unfortunately, as well
Yeah.
with VO3. And you still get charged for it, so that's fun. This was the one we actually ended up with. I think I actually just... Okay, so I didn't actually go for a second one. I just went with this one.
I'm supposed to say that God got me pregnant? Yeah, there's no way my parents are buying this story.
Yeah.
I love her performance, and that's what's crazy is like I cannot tell you the secret to like getting great performances. You can get towards it. So let's see what makes this. Okay, so we've got glaring directly into it with her arms crossed, expression completely unamused.
Yep.
And I'm not really saying that. So like I say, Mary glares at the angel in the bedroom, arms crossed, kind of. And then it's kind of extrapolating like, okay, well, we actually want it to the camera and not the angel. And then we also have second one. So she glances back at the angel, which you saw here. So that's helpful too. Like have like the first performance there, have your dialogue, and then like you can make it pause, you can make it do things in this one after it, and then back at the camera, her face full of deadpan teenage disbelief.
Yeah.
Yep. So that was pretty good, and we're kind of almost at the end here. Let's see.
These Philistines thought they could flex on me. Big mistake. I just took some pre-workout and finna bring the house down.
Terrible audio quality.
Yeah,
so that
so
is
weird.
The other downside that VO3 has right now. No consistency of characters' voices, and I would say even on my good clips, the audio's like EQ spectrum, it's like thin, and it's usually really high, and there's no bass to it. And I mean, it's still whatever. Like they'll fix it. I hope soon. So we'll do our best in the meantime, but you just have to kind of re-roll the generation.
These Philistines thought they could flex on me. Big mistake.
Also about audio.
These Philistines thought they could flex on me. Big mistake. I just took some pre-workout and finna bring the house down.
Good audio, but it wasn't feeling it, and then I think this is the one that ended up in it.
These Philistines thought they could flex on me. Big mistake. I just took some pre-workout and finna bring the house down.
So also, there's more comedy here because he's kind of smiling, like he knows the secret. And I like this like dolly in camera move.
Yeah.
It's hard because
Yeah.
I found, and
He's got his
when I
pre-workout,
did this,
you know?
he's got his pre-workout. I have found that like dollies in is a really, even though you typically want most of these shots like handheld camera or like selfie cam, that's probably the 3 shots that I would say are most compelling visually. Is like for this influencer stuff, try and prompt it where most of the things is them holding the camera. So let's see what else we have. Okay, so she's holding the camera, but obviously I need him to hold, because in the story he's like arms are holding up these 2 things. It's the same with Jesus on the cross as well. I couldn't have it selfie style, so I had to do a lot of variations on like how to prompt this to where it feels like it's selfie style, but it's their arms are wide, which you'll see in a bit when we get to Jesus.
I wonder if like a reality style show would work also, like a camera like
Yes.
running up and then they see it and they like talk to it. That could also be good, I think.
Exactly. I think the prompt for that I've been using is like, hey ChatGPT, correct this to make it like a raw camera man on the street style handheld thing.
Right.
I've got another video that I'm working on a big brand for like the NBA finals. Like they're running it as like a commercial.
Yeah.
That's kind of insane. So I'm finishing that up today.
Like you know, that last clip would have been pretty fun too if you heard somebody on the other side of the camera being like, "Okay, you're on," you know, like it's like his buddy filming him or something.
Exactly. So what we haven't done with this series is like the microphone. But in my new one that I'm dropping, hopefully at the end of the week when the commercial goes live, it's all like man on the street ones. So I'll post my workflow probably as well on X for like that style. So this is a little different. This is like influencers, the other's man on the street, but they're kind of both in the same genre. They're just a little different, and the prompts are a little different, but essentially they're the same. Or for that one, what I'd show you is basically you just tell ChatGPT, okay, make an arm extending from the camera with that, or make a reporter say a line and then have the person respond to it as she passes the microphone. It's pretty simple, and like as long as you have this prompt structure, ChatGPT will do it. Okay, so then obviously we had all the different Noah variations. I think I wasn't happy with the performance. Also, sometimes it was weird where it was looking like he was underwater.
Update. Still swallowed.
And then it didn't even finish the line.
Just update.
Update.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is super helpful. Okay, so I had a lot of dialogue. That's why I had to do so many generations. So this new dialogue, I said, update still swallowed. I would like to formally apologize to God, the sailors, the whale. Sorry, dude, just took a poop over there in the corner of your stomach. But it's too much. And so that is what happens when you have 8 seconds of a clip, and I probably had like 10 to 12 seconds of dialogue. So it's just going to pick one of them or nothing.
Right. Yeah.
It's just
Update. Still swallowed. I would like to formally apologize to God, the sailors, and this whale. Sorry, dude. I just took a poop over there.
So then, as you can see, I contracted it. So I instead of saying the poop over there in the corner, I truncated it to what I felt like was 8 seconds, and then eventually it got close. So let's go to David. I think I wanted to have David moving for this. Didn't generate audio. And then, yeah, same, not generating audio. Not generating audio. Just burning money over here.
Yeah, man, you must
fun.
be sitting there just being like, every time's like a slot machine. You're like, did it work?
I know.
No, it didn't. Did
I
it
know.
work? 5 minutes later, no, it didn't.
Also, no audio here. It has subtitles, but no audio.
What's good, fam?
Here is it. I think this is the one I used.
What's good, fam? Your boy David here. About to eat this little stone at Goliath and see what happens.
It's his like casual, like I told it to like make him like throwing up the rock, but it just kind of like, I don't know. I love.
Yeah, he's holding it so casual.
Your boy David here, about to eat this little stone at Goliath and see what happens.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Yeah, I
love
like
the
that one
whispers.
too.
Yeah.
I love the whispers. It's really fun. Okay, so anyway, we got that one, and interesting. I think actually Jesus would have been earlier in this. Aha! There he is. Okay. Yeah. So we didn't start. Oh my God, there was so many unhinged ones of Jesus. This was actually the most expensive shot, just because I couldn't figure out. Okay.
Yo, fam, they don't know that God is about to BRB.
So the big issue that I was having, obviously, is aside from like him covered in blood, which I don't know if I should be telling you this, but like a good workaround ish is, what did I say? Red paint. Like sometimes that. In the end, it was failing so many times. I probably spent like an hour or two on this shot alone, that I dropped the whole paint thing because I couldn't figure out that. Couldn't figure out if it was like the word cross or crucifixion. It was also really hard to get him to hang on it, so he's just in front of it here. And then when I kind of did, he was in front of this, and then I figured out that the issue is that like he can't have both arms on the cross and still have a selfie style video, or he was like holding up the camera here. So it was like kept working with ChatGPT on this, and then this was close.
Yo, fam, they don't know that God is about to BRB.
Then I had subtitles, and I was just growing so frustrated, and I prayed to Jesus. I said, Jesus, help me depict you in the most unorthodox, blasphemous way possible. And he answered my prayers, and here we are.
Yo, fam, they don't know that God is about to BRB.
So that's the clip that opens on the shot. And then I cropped in to get some of this out, and It's pretty good. There was some
Yo, fam, they don't know that God is about to be on.
this one
Okay,
was
so
funny.
I told y'all to trust the process, but no, y'all wanted to stay in Egypt stacking bricks.
It's like an aquarium.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, there's a lot more variations with that, but eventually I figured that. So that's kind of everything in a nutshell. I can show you my final cut, like what that looks like to kind of edit everything.
Yes, let's do that, and definitely have a few questions just have a few questions about it.
Okay, cool. And then we're kind of, near done with this. Okay, give me 1 sec. Okay, so I like Final Cut just because it's fast. It's not like as advanced maybe as Premiere or whatever like that, but it's also way more advanced than CapCut. If you're not a pro filmmaker or whatever, just use probably CapCut or iMovie, I suppose. Like it can do most of it. But I just like it because basically what I do is I just, kind of download all my clips in a folder. I upload them all to here. These are all like the top clips that I like. Usually there's like 2 or 3. So I won't download the ones that aren't working. I just download the ones that are working or might work. And then I put them all in here. And then I just kind of audition them all on a timeline, right? So I just drop them like, as you can see on the timeline here, there's no music. I don't even add much special effects. I drop on what's called a compressor, which basically tries to add like some bass to the voice of it. But I don't really think this stuff needs much music or anything like that, just because it's just kind of not that. I should have added a watermark. This was like a huge mistake. Like there were so many freaking big accounts on Twitter that like just ripped the video, reposted it without credit. Same on Instagram. That kind of makes me frustrated, but like at the end of the day, you'll figure it out. I don't even know if people like would look at manually type in what they see on the watermark in there. It's like they just want like dopamine and they'll scroll away. So sadly, most of your content does get front run by bigger accounts. Hopefully they credit you. I think I grew from like, 10,000 subscribers on Instagram to like 16,000 just on this video alone, but it gets pillaged by all the big accounts. And hopefully the credit.
Yeah, I put a little watermark, and I know people like retweet it and stuff like that, which is fine as long as my thing in there. I did a video where I did a compilation. I put yours with a few other ones that I kind of like just ran through, and then later you commented on the X on the post, and I was like, wait, I used like 3 of your clips. I didn't connect because Pupperin was yours. Mm-hmm. And there was like one other. Did you have the prompt theory? Did you start that?
No,
that was somebody else. Okay, the SNL whatever skit, that was yours. Yep,
I did this hippie one, which was so fun to do. I really like these like deep thoughts. It did pretty well. The original Pupperman one, I found out that I actually should have checked this is AI content. That one was ripping. So like a week ago, I had like 100 views, 200 views, 300 views. Like my TikTok sucked, and then I uploaded the Pupperman version 1 on here, and it was like 300K views in an hour. And then it's because I didn't label it as AI content, but then I like tried to like appeal it, even though I said like this is AI, and they were like, no, if you post it again, like your account will get banned. And I was like, oh, that sucks. That would have done really well. But clearly then I posted this one, and so this was like 2.6 million views, and I just think it's important to note, like I had 100 followers, like I had nothing, and it just ripped. And even I had a bigger presence on Instagram, like 17K followers, 12K at the time or whatever. I think this has like maybe 60K views now. Yeah, 60K views. So it did not do as well on TikTok. I think like there, as I said before, and I've said again, like different social media platforms have different intended audiences depending on the content you want. So like, I don't think I get a lot of good clients from TikTok. I get a lot of good clients from like mostly Twitter and to some extent like Instagram. but there's all the views which are on TikTok. So I think you basically have to like create content for everything and then just see what platform do you consume the most on, which is what gives you better taste, and then what do you want to perform well on, and then you can leverage that to kind of create a business around that. So this is pretty much everything in a nutshell. Yeah.
Can we ask you about niches? Like, I mean, it seems like there's certain things that make sense right now to be using VEO3.4 and some things that will look too much like Hollywood currently. Like, what else besides selfies from a bygone era are you kind of thinking about?
Yeah, so I like fake commercials right now. That's really hot. So that's what the Pupperman one was that I did a full breakdown on the other YouTube channel. That's doing really well. I think you need to have this like very serious context of like what's otherwise not funny, and then you're adding like, you know, interviews. So the one that I'm doing right now, which I'm excited to release by the end of the week, is I'm doing like GTA style settings of like man on the street interviews. And I probably can't say too much yet, but basically it's like this major sports related thing, and they're asking people their opinions on it for the NBA finals, and it's like the most unhinged Florida man stuff ever, like alligators and like, you know, like old people like on top of like cars that are burning and like getting arrested by cops in their underwear, and like that's the context for the man on the street. So that's probably the viral formula that I would just say is the through line, is figure out what's really unhinged and then what's a context which like this would be otherwise normal information or something that's like very familiar.
Do you see any potential with cartoons, or are they already sort of creative enough?
Actually, yeah, I see unlimited potential with cartoons. So there was this other one that went viral last week where it's this guy it was just two shots of like cartoon dudes talking back and forth with one another. And the really smart headline they did to capture attention was like, this would have costed like, you know, $500,000 with old animation, but now an animator made it in like 3 hours. I think that's getting played out a bit. That's technically like the, you know, hook that I used for Pupperman a few weeks ago, is like, I used to shoot $500,000 pharmaceutical commercials, and now I made this for $500 in VO3 credits. I'm trying to steer away from that. It worked really well. It actually, ironically, I had a couple of my friends who were like, dude, you screwed us with that title, because you told everyone like how much it costed you to make this commercial.
Now exposed.
How am I supposed to charge like 50 grand for an AI video, or even 10 grand for an AI video, when you just outed us saying it's 500 in generation cost? And that's my bad. No, I'm just kind of. But I basically just told him like, sorry, but like it's true. But here's what you say to clients is that like, okay, there's the story of the Picasso where someone was like, hey, can you draw me something on this napkin at a restaurant? And he's like, sure. You know, he takes a pen, draws something, and pans it over. And he's like, that'll be $40,000. And she's like, that took you 30 seconds. He's like, no, this took me 30 years. That's what you're paying for. And that's the moat. You have to tell clients that you're not paying me for the amount of time. And like, I don't even think people should be charging like day rates. So like the average day rate of an AI filmmaker is, I don't know, between like $500 on the low end and maybe $1,500 on some of the higher ends. But like, even so, that's a commodity. That's a race to the bottom. Your skill set, at least to the AI filmmakers that want to like have like a premium price tag, is like, it's your taste. It's your taste for what captures attention. And that's what's very hard to replicate. And so you're telling that to, and that's what we tell to brands now, and we're fortunate enough to work with some really cool brands, is it's like, you need people to stop the scroll. All these other like bozos can take my process, but you can't take the taste on like what to write on the scripting side. And so then for actually like, I do try and teach that as well. And like, that's probably what I would want to explore a bit more on the course, is the like philosophy behind like what content goes viral, why it goes viral. This is relatively easy to teach this process, but I think what I would just say to everybody is like, become a student for what's working the best. This is what Mr. Beast said when he was coming up in the YouTube game, is he would just watch all the top trending viral videos and then just try and deconstruct like, why are they going viral? What did it use as the thumbnail? What did it use as the title? And then what did it use in the first 30, like, well, really 3 seconds that hooked the audience's attention? And then did it keep the view time? Did it keep the attrition rate or whatever on them watching to the end? And then if it does that, and then if they engage with it, where they comment on it, they share it, then that's the recipe for a viral hit. So that's kind of what I always say, is basically aim for surprise and delight, because when you surprise people and you delight them with something unexpected, it gives them dopamine, and that creates a core memory. It's why we can kind of quote some of these crazy skits we saw in viral videos, like Blank in a Box or the Lonely Island ones, right? You know, like we all can quote those almost verbatim from like 10, 15 years ago. It's because they gave us dopamine, and that's kind of what our promise is to the viewers, is like, if you watch this content, I'm going to give you something that really makes your day. And so if you can figure out how to kind of replicate that in different niches, and also, you know, obviously good artists copy, great artists steal the formula. So like steal my Bible formula here, just as I kind of stole it from the dude I was inspired by, but I elevated it, and then I try to do it in like a different niche at some level. So then that's what you can do. So you can take like my Pupperman pharmaceutical commercial, you can parody another type of commercial. I would just always say, like, figure out what's really serious normally, and then just make it unhinged with AI and use this process. And that's what I.
What's your thoughts about like, is for VFX people or people who want to do a hybrid? Could you imagine we're at the point where you film some of the footage with your iPhone, but then if something needs, like a car needs to explode, you can go to VEO, make the car explode because that's too expensive to shoot in real life, and then cut back to the characters and kind of make hybrid content?
Yes. So, I don't think you have to only use VEO3 for making like crazy AI commercials. Like, one, you can shoot live action production and integrate these shots. So like, if we're talking in like a narrative filmmaking sense, yeah, like that's what Hollywood's doing a lot right now, is they'll have like, there's this show called The House of David where they did a lot of VFX shots in AI, and then they cut to actors on set. But you could probably also work with other AI programs as well, where you'll do like, so like one of the things that VEO3 is not good at is like specific brand like elements in frame. So if like you're trying to sell like a chocolate company or something like that, like a bar or a candy or something like that, you can't just prompt the description of that in VEO3. Technically they have like frames to video, they call, which is image to video, but you can't really make characters talk. So it's essentially similar to Kling, Runway, etc. So then what I would do is I would probably use Flux Context to, take an image of the product, use Flux Context to say, put this image in this location or something like that, or a woman holding it, smiling, and then you just do an image to video workflow in Kling, Google, etc. And I guess you'd have to, if you want to make someone talk holding the bar, then you take it like, okay, now I have to integrate it into Runway Act 1 or in a HeyGen, and it's like, this is why it's like that multi-step process that like, it's not as easy to tell you as just prompt some funny stuff in VEO3 and see what happens. So I try, and when I'm talking to commercial clients, I say, for now, no consistent characters. These are 8-second clips. Here's my constraints, but also here's what the crazy stuff I can do with VEO3. And if you want something more elaborate, it's just going to cost more because we got to use 6 different programs.
Right. I'm sure in the beginning there's a lot of experimentation to just figure out what works, what doesn't, what prompts work. But after you kind of figure stuff out, what do you expect? How many iterations, how many times you're going to run the same prompt or with slight changes to get one great shot? Is it like 10 to 1, 20 to 1?
That's a good, so like when I used to do image to video workflows primarily, it's like in Midjourney, I would just have like, and maybe this is where the deeper dive, I've got a really cool another video for like a big AI platform that I'll launch in the next week or two whenever they release it. It's been pushed back a month. But that was like an entirely image to video workflow. So my process for that, well, maybe we can do it in another episode when that comes out, but it's basically like script your voiceover, extrapolate the voiceover into a shot list, and then in Figma, because I like to collaborate with other people as well in image to video, we'll just all put like 60 images next to the shot on the shot list, and then we'll select the favorite ones and then we'll animate them. So in the image to video days, it would be a lot, like literally 50 shots per thing, and just different variations, and then maybe 5 to 10 animations of that shot with different prompts, just because it's a lot cheaper. With VEO3, one, the hit rate is really high, like it just kind of nails what I want a lot faster, and then also I just can't afford to like spend more than 5 to 10 generations per shot. So it's like $30 to $40 a shot, maybe.
Yeah.
No, I take it back. Maybe $20 to $30 a shot in the end.
Okay.
So like the Bible thing, what did I say? $250, and it was like 10 shots in the end. Something like that.
Would you have spent more time on that video if it was free generations, or if budget constraints didn't slow you down at all?
Yeah, I probably would have, but I think in the end, like, where we're all heading is like, it's not about going all in for a week on one video. I think it's actually shots on board in the viral algorithm of just like create a video every probably 2 to 3 days is the cadence cycle, I would say. If we're just talking VO3, spend 2 to 3 days on every project that you do and just see if it works. And if it works, do part 2, do iterations of it, do it in different things. But I think otherwise, like, there's just too much content that's coming out on a daily basis, and you're kind of falling behind if you're over perfecting everything. I think people forgive a lot of mistakes. Like, I probably have some of the most polished AI VO3 content right now on the plan. There's other people that do like better cinematic stuff, and my buddy Kevin just spent like 3 months on this insanely amazing like, it's called Echo Hunter. It's this awesome like sci-fi film. But like, I'm like, dude, you also just missed out on like all the attention from like all these new models while you worked on that for 3 months. So my ethos right now is like, long form is not it. It's basically create near daily content as much as possible, put shots on the board. Some of them will go viral, and then also brands will reach out to you that you can kind of like do this for their brand. Probably the biggest ways to monetize this right now is like, just getting work inbound. You can also market your product. I wrote this. Hang on, I wrote this.
Because I'm thinking,
down.
like, what did you have the urge to start a new Instagram account called like Terrible Pharmaceutical Commercials and just keep that genre, like the way you saw the Holy Vlogs? Take off?
So Holy Vlogs is doing it, and I think it's smart. I don't know how they would monetize this as much. So like, and also just I get bored. Like, I'm a little too ADHD to narrow down on one niche. But I do think that people could probably do really well on narrowing down on a niche. But I'm just kind of like, I think comedy dies when you can expect what the bits are. I would say that the thing is, though, is like in the Christian world, there's just such a, I call it the biggest IP in the world with 2 billion daily active users, and it's all open source, and there's no content, and there's infinite demand. So I actually think like religious content is brilliant for viral content, because at the end of the day, you only have a few seconds to hook someone's attention, and if you're trying to tell what I call like original stories, remember what those are? If you try and tell original stories, like, it's really hard for people to create this kind of emotional connection onto like what the character is, which is why, and primarily a lot of my video viral things that I've done, like I did this like Lord of the Rings Studio Ghibli animation, like people already knew what that's like, and they ascribe emotion to what you're doing, and so it's so much easier to get them emotionally invested because they're like, it's the whole Hollywood thing. You already have an attachment to these characters. Now you're making them do funny things. That being said, VO3 doesn't really allow you to do like Batman and Superman and Spider-Man, so I think we're going to get a lot of original content that comes out of this in a way that we weren't before, when you could just make Studio Ghibli live action or anime or whatever.
Because listening to you, I've sort of noticed a pattern over the last few days that you might find interesting. I was first shown a very similar video to the type you're doing. It's Bigfoot, and he's like out in the kind of wilderness, and it's got this casual, like, here's how I fry my fish up, and here's my family. And I watched one.
I think that's MadVid Pro that started that.
It could be.
I think so.
Well,
I think so.
I saw one, and then because I watched it all the way through, a couple more of this character came up, and then the most recent one I got today was him getting kicked out of his house. Like, he's like, I've lived with my mom for 500 years, now I got to go on my own. And he finds this hut, and he becomes friends with this raccoon. And now I'm like, oh, I should probably click on this and subscribe. Like, there's a story narrative developing for the first time, and these are all just 30, 20-second videos.
Yeah, so maybe, so this is like a huge explosion, and I'll screen share real quick to kind of show one of my favorite filmmakers in this space, and this is important to talk about because I think this is where the opportunities are. Give me 1 second. Okay. Okay, so prior to this week, this was the closest thing we had to like an AI cinematic universe. Are you guys familiar with NeuralViz?
I've seen them for sure recently. Oh yeah, I was talking about.
It's Tiki.
The 80s news. That was hilarious.
Yes. And he went. This went like crazy viral. What did it get? Like 20 million views. Yeah, 22 million views where everything was bad.
Yeah.
Everything is bad. It's just as terrible as you imagined, and probably worse. With more, we go to Tom Lee Cruise. Tom Lee.
We're all in danger, Danley.
Jesus Christ, what can we do?
Absolutely nothing.
It was good knowing you, Tom.
I can't say the same.
That was unnecessary. We're just now getting in reports that all the children have exploded. They will be missed. Let's check in with Olivia Lee Rodrigo. Olivia Lee, where are you?
That's none of your business. You hear that? Cut the music. You hear that?
What do you hear?
That's the sound of us slowly dying. Can you hear it?
I can hear it. It's louder in my left ear.
Olivia Lee Rodrigo reporting
I
from
actually
where
have some
I
more
am.
questions for you. Okay, we're going to go to Kevin Lee Costner, who has more with politics.
No, I don't.
Great timing.
So it's great, and I know the creator well, and he has a background in film and comedy writing, is what I could say. So his stuff is very tight, and clearly this is what I kind of referenced earlier. Take something that's very serious and then just kind of add this like unhinged element to it. So that's most of his stuff. His channel started out. We did this. It was this like unexplained oddities or unanswered mysteries, like the History Channel series about that.
On tonight's episode of Unanswered Oddities, humans. Are they real or just a youngling's fairy tale? Humans have been a great mystery of our time. These creatures of lore supposedly ate potatoes and enjoyed sleep. They're thought to be long extinct, if they ever existed at all. But recent sightings all across the world have drummed up the debate once again. Rural Morgmog, 2 hours outside of Deedle. The hiker claims to have seen a human.
So yeah, it was a Tuesday night. I had just gotten home from Spit. I went out for my midnight lurk. You know, I was just being creepy and weird, and that's when I saw it. It was a human. You could tell by the knees. I seen them in the historical books, and it was just standing there, listening to sounds. I thought I might die.
I was called to the scene around midnight. Mr. Fugsnuck was in a panic. I searched the area for humans, but only found a toothbrush.
Oh,
we don't know much about humans, other than they were most likely wildly stupid creatures. We do believe they did some cool things, though, like super sweet water sports.
The current prevailing theory is that humanity was wiped off the planet by what were called escalators. One by one, each human slowly sucked into the moving stairs, taken out by their own dumb invention. It would have been quite the sight.
But of course not everyone believes that humans existed.
Humans ain't real, brother. That's a ruse made up by the monolith to distract us from the fact that they are putting plants in our food.
Whether you are a believer or not, something happened to Mr. Fugsnuck that night.
Now that I think about it, it could have just been a tree that I saw. It was pretty dark, and my eyes were closed, so it's hard to say.
As is department policy, I fired off multiple rounds into those woods just in case there was a human. I was promoted shortly after.
Oh my God. Okay, so I am sorry to take so much of your time on that, but that is, and okay, here's what's crazy, is that this was July 8th, 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and so that's kind of why, like, now I don't think this would go as viral, but back then, I mean, this was cutting edge stuff, and so then each episode was like, okay, let's talk about religion, and then did the lost continent of America exist? And these characters are the weirdest freaking characters ever. So he did this back in the day in, I want to say, like Midjourney and then Runway, to make them talk, or Hedra, excuse me, back then. And since then, it's just kind of gone on to create like this whole cinematic universe. And this is what I want to tap into. So we get the Bigfoot cinematic universe on TikTok right now, but like NeuralViz was the precursor to a lot of this, and he'll be studied in history one day when we go back to the start of like AI franchise. I
Where
love
escalators
NeuralViz.
got him.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. And then he's been really smart to where he's like leveraged. So like kind of like Boba Fett. The best character that came out of this was Tiggy, and he didn't realize it. And then everyone's like, Tiggy.
All I'm saying is we should be drinking our own blood.
Okay.
Like we're made of blood, right?
Well, I don't think we're
So it
completely
should
made
be
of
fine
blood.
for us to drink our own blood.
Tiggy.
It's like we're just refilling it.
Tiggy, I think you snorted a lot of teeth before we started, and that might.
So it's crazy, but he like takes modern things, so it's not all like unexplained mysteries. He's done some really funny things where it's like house hunters.
You all have to see this property. It's 1 bedroom, 9 bathrooms, 20,000 square feet. It's walkable
livable and runnable to Beetle. It's got 2 infection rooms and a heated freezer on site. They don't list the price because none of us can afford it. Let's check it out. So immediately when you walk in, they'd gone with fancy tire store. This
And it's just insane. So if you kind of want a guide and like creating your own cinematic universe, I think this is the best place to start. He's now getting into VEO3. This is kind of a game changer. And this is crazy. So he started the like man on the street interviews.
What's your best pickup line? Is that a gun in your pocket, or am I just horny as shit?
Coming in hot, motto.
Okay, so sorry, I forgot. This is a little bad. But he did a lot of man on the street interviews, and this is like a month ago before VEO3 came out. And now I'm sure he's going to have a lot more resources to just do this with VEO3, make it realistic looking. I'm potentially going to explore this if I had freaking time. I want to do this with like a different kind of world, but then also like his universe expands where like basically humanity was wiped out by this monolith. He does a backstory. All creatures are now kind of enslaved and worship this monolith. I think that's what people stay for. So like, you know, these Bigfoot videos are interesting if they're one-off things, but like you want to have a through line of like similar narrative characters, and then you want to have a through line of like them going through trials. It's just like the Hollywood, you know, stories of the hero's journey and whatnot. It's like there has to be an arc where there's like something they want but don't know that they need, and then they're kind of gone through these trials and tribulations. So like at the end of the day, like this is going to open up this crazy explosion where all of us can create our own cinematic universes, and it's going to be nuts. The question is, how do you monetize it? I would say if you want to create your own cinematic universe, optimize for the first month or 2 or 3 for like hyper virality, and then you can do product placement later. So then I was thinking like probably you can just integrate brand partnerships. In this case, if I were NeuralViz, I would have these like aliens worship these artifacts that are just like people who want to sponsor the show.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Right. Yeah.
And then he's got the views to back it up. You know, like a brand would probably pay at least like $1,000 to $2,000 an episode if he's doing these kind of numbers. And then you can just integrate it.
So much more creative. Like when I tell my friends about this, they're like, "Oh, I should put a pretty girl like hucking some VPNs or something." I'm like, "Yeah, that's probably what everybody's thinking. Like, not build a whole cinematic universe."
No, yeah. You gotta do it better. And then there's also a lot of like VCs and stuff that are wanting to invest in studios. Like, there's just a lot of money in this space. I think that it's not. At the end of the day, I think it's just, can you crack the code of attention? And if you can, and the only way to do that is by consuming the best content, deconstructing how they do it, and then obviously like just take a workflow like I had laid out today, and then just try and do it with your point of view that's unique to you. Because obviously like my content comes from my own sort of look at this. It was like I wanted to give myself a bath, but now thanks to Pupperman, I just want to give my dog a bath. Like a toaster bath. So anyway, like integrate your kind of dark humor into this, like it, just kind of make it your own thing. Like, obviously like my background is like coming to the church. I know how to speak to this audience. There's some weird niche that you as the listener audience member, maybe you're a part of, like, car, like you really love cars. It's workout culture. It's 100 different things. Find your niche. That's like the riches are in the niches of just viral traction within a specific sub community. And then if you can kind of own that sub community and like be the, create a lot of content for it, it expands into adjacent sub communities from there. So I would probably say optimize for what you're an expertise in, what you have unique humor and insight into, and then you can experiment with other sub-communities after you're kind of known for one thing. I'm a bit of an outlier where I'm just going to do like whatever random crazy crap I come up with, because I think I can like do different genres pretty well, because that's what I had to do as a commercial director for 15 years. But I would actually say to people, like, one, experiment and have fun, but actually try and kind of be known like the Bigfoot dude for like one type of thing, especially if it does really well. Just do part 2, part 3, part 4, just to get your reps in, get your subscribers up, and then you can pivot into other genres later afterwards.
Absolutely. And I think the potential here is so huge. The money is so huge. I'll do a separate video where I'll maybe showcase some of the people that kind of got into, not necessarily this space, but they, like you're saying, they followed their passion and their weird sub niche or whatever. Because it's like, we always think big creators are ones that appeal to a mass audience. But now on the internet, if you're kind of in your own special niche, you can be it can be extremely profitable. I'll give some examples in a different video, but because we don't want to take up too much of your time. So, I mean, thank you so much. Is there anything that we haven't asked or anything that we haven't gone over that you think would be good for people to know right now about kind of this new video AI wave? AI video wave.
I don't think so. We've talked a lot. I think my only like fear is that like it's really expensive right now. Like VEO3 is really expensive, and sure, for me, it's like a good business expense, and I have like enough to where like the jobs that I'm getting pay for like the content marketing I'm doing. But I don't feel that way is probably the same for everybody. So I would just say like really figure out how to make it sustainable. I would say like that the time is now. Like you're gonna look back. This is the Wild West gold rush.
Yep.
You're gonna look back in like 15 years as a content creator and be like, I could have done it, and I did not go all in, and I didn't invest the time and resources into this sweet spot. So basically, it's like there's a desert, and there's a few people like me who are like little trees, but like what's about to come is this like huge creators, or like these saplings are about to rapidly explode because essentially there's nothing on the market right now, and I know that. I feel like best because for the last 6 months or so, I've been one of like only like 10 popular AI creators. And again, I'm not saying this actually to like flex. I'm saying this because like we were all just kind of these like pseudo misfit mid-tier filmmakers in a previous life, and then we're like, we don't have anything to lose by like doing this, so we'll do it. And then like, you know, there weren't many good AI filmmakers. I don't even think I'm a great AI filmmaker, but I know what's coming. And so the reason I kind of like bash this is because I feel like there's this limited window where like Ridley Scott and all the big content creators and all the big YouTubers are going to start doing the AI because I'm talking to them now and they want to use it. And they're going to capture a lot of the market share. And so there's this limited window, not to put a sense of urgency, but seriously, limited window where there's almost nobody in the space doing it. And you can post a simple video like a Bigfoot thing and get millions of followers over the course of like a couple videos. Why not go all in now? So use VEO3, put it on a credit card. Not really, this is not financial advice, but like kind of.
But if you asked your parents or something for like a A7S III for your birthday, you might want to reconsider $3,000 worth of VEO credits.
I have so many cameras just rotting on the shelf.
Dude, put them on eBay before they become too cheap.
I know, exactly. Yeah, I would not that I would never do a physical commercial again, but it's just like I would so much rather do unhinged stuff that like you couldn't shoot anyway. So I wouldn't even pitch clients on ideas. It'd be so boring to like try and put it all together. I know this is obviously like scary for filmmakers in the space, but I would just say like, okay, like yes, the grips and gaffers and like the art department and the, you know, catering service, like there's a lot of people that are going to get disrupted by this, but to the 240 million content creators there are on the planet right now, this is good. So yes, it sucks. I don't have any other way to say, like the couple 100,000 people in Hollywood that are like relying on this as a business, you're gonna have to figure out a way not to be, you know, like what stable boys and horse carriage drivers were before that Model T was invented. You have to adapt, but then if you can adapt, like it's going to be a net good for the larger amount of humanity that now, for the first time ever, can create their own cinematic universes when only 5,000 films were made, you know, annually before this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when the digital cameras came out, the amount of pictures taken globally went into like trillion plus. You know, over a decade, but I think the same thing is going to happen with this because you no longer even need a camera. You can just create entire, like you said, cinematic universes within, you know, the comforts of your home. So it's going to be incredible to see this happen. Dylan, anything else that we've missed that we need to talk about?
No, that was a wonderful podcast. Thank you so much for sharing such amazing insights. You got me really thinking about everything. And yeah, hopefully we can expose more people to these ideas and help them build careers too.
Absolutely. Do you want to let people know where they can find you and your various online properties so they can check it out?
Yeah. Whatever social platform you like the most, I'm on there probably under like PJACE, PJACE. I would say just subscribe to my newsletter. That's like, you know, like obviously subscribe on my platforms, but like the newsletter is the thing where like I just push a weekly digest of like everything I talked about this into like step by step. So like the prompts and how I use it and like, I don't know. Maybe I'll use a course, but for all intents and purposes, like this is my course. Here you go. It's free. Enjoy, make cool shit, and tag me in it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much. And we'll link the newsletter. So you're on Beehive. So we'll put the link down below. Thank you so much for being here. I think a lot of people got so much value out of this. We really appreciate it. Check out his newsletter, and maybe we'll do this again some other day, a few months from now. And
I think
will
you will, probably sooner than later. I got some crazy stuff cooking.
This
I'm excited.
This thing is evolving fast, and we can't wait to see it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.